I'd have buried her so deep you never found her again.
We've messed up badly.
I'll tell you nothing.
I've been wanting to have a go at me ever since I arrived at this poxy neck. Well, go on then.
He's a loner. He's a one-man band. He's not my type.
Not what I've heard.
Perhaps you allowed your personal feelings to cloud your judgment.
If it wasn't for you, none of this would have happened.
Earth to earth, dust to dust.
Prime Suspect 2, The Final Battle, Sunday at 9.
How to keep the sexual spark alive. Margie Clark presents another good sex guide very shortly.
The secret of our new day-long shadow is silk, a unique base and shadow combination that lasts all day. Look beautiful with Rimmel Silk's day-long shadow.
Touch it, and you're tempted.
Yo protagonicé su primera película. Buscó por toda España por esto. Eduardo. Es más perfeccionista que nunca.
Tenemos que repetirlo mañana.
Well, at 9 o'clock next week, Sidney Poitier teams up with Tom Berenger and Kirstie Alley in the film Deadly Pursuit.
Responsible for arming Saddam Hussein.
I believe that current feminism is infested with self-pitying, whining victims. Yes.
She says she's a feminist, but don't try to tell that to a feminist. Camille Paglia says the movement has been hijacked by its leaders.
Gloria Steinem.
Stalin.
Stalin? Why?
Because she's acted as a kind of establishment oppressor, keeping down dissident female voices of the last 20 years. Turn the cameras off. We don't give a what she thinks. Okay.
They say he stole more than 150 objects from the most prestigious museums. In Massachusetts, from the Peabody. In Delaware, from the Winterthur. In England, from the Ashmolean in Oxford.
How'd you get it past security? I probably unbuttoned the lower part of my shirt, stuck it right there. The shirt was buttoned over it, and, you know, was able to walk out with it.
Meet Dr. John Feller, professor of history and master thief. He's now at Allenwood Federal Prison Camp in Pennsylvania.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Orly Safer.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
If you have trouble understanding exactly what it is that people mean when they say Iraqgate, perhaps you'll understand it better after you hear from the man who has probed into it longer than anyone else in Washington, the chairman. He has never talked about it as fully and freely as he does tonight. Congressman Henry Gonzalez of Texas, 76-year-old chairman of the House Banking Committee, simply does not believe that a small Atlanta, Georgia branch of Italy's giant Banco Nazionale del Lavoro could funnel $4 billion in loans to Saddam Hussein without someone high up in the U.S. government knowing about it. And he is determined to put it all out there for the public to see, no matter who, he says, no matter who is trying to stop him. Who are the main players here in Washington who tried to stop your investigation? The main players.
Every one of them.
Thornburg?
Yes, sir.
Barr?
Right.
Two attorney generals?
Right.
How about the head of the CIA? Did he try to stop your investigation?
Yes.
What about Brent Scowcroft, National Security Advisor?
Very much so. He even came to see the Speaker to see what he could do to stop me.
And James Baker, the Secretary of State?
He did, in his own inimitable way, very suavely, but we still haven't gotten the document.
Therefore, George Bush.
That's right.
Dan. What is it that George Bush and his people were trying to stop the chairman from exposing?
Well, that terrible skeleton in the closet, or the skunk in the closet that they can't hide, showing that they were principally responsible for arming Saddam Hussein, against whom we were going to go to war and face the very armament that we had helped them obtain.
How did Chairman Gonzales find out about the administration's role in helping Saddam? He followed the money trail, which led him to the small Atlanta branch of Italy's Banco Nazionale del Lavoro, BNL, which was raided back in 1989 by the FBI. BNL had loaned Saddam over $4 billion, money which Iraq used in part to buy arms, plus sophisticated technology that could help them develop nuclear weapons. And as the chairman looked further, he discovered that the Atlanta branch manager of BNL, this man, Christopher Dragul, whom we visited in jail, the man the government now contends funneled those billions to Saddam, wasn't alone in trying to help out Saddam.
We found the intervention of highly placed officials from Vice President then, President now, Deputy Secretary of State Eagleberger, now the acting Secretary of State, and Secretary of State Baker himself.
What do you mean the intervention? What were they intervening in?
They were pressuring the Export-Import Bank to issue those guaranteed loans.
What's wrong with that?
Iraqi was not deemed creditworthy by the Export-Import Bank.
No, Iraq was broke after the Iran-Iraq war.
Not more than that. I saw where they had defaulted with 6 European or other foreign countries.
So you see George Bush and Jim Baker, the Secretary of State, and his deputy Lawrence Eagleberger, all pushing to get the Export-Import Bank here.
That's right.
To guarantee some
That's right.
lend money to this deadbeat.
That's right.
And Gonzales maintains that this high-level pressure to give Saddam U.S. taxpayer-guaranteed loans resulted from what even the president now concedes was a failed policy.
And it failed. It failed. That approach, holding out a hand, trying to get him to renounce terrorism and join the family of nations, didn't work.
But to Chairman Gonzales, it was more than just a failure. It was a major blunder that continued despite Saddam's gassing of his own people, the Kurds. A policy that was kept in place despite intelligence reports that Saddam was building weapons of mass destruction. And yet, George Bush, Jim Baker, Lawrence Eagleberger were pushing to help Iraq.
That's right.
What was some of this money used for, in a military way?
Everything from the big gun of Gerald Bull, the famous big gun.
That super gun?
Super gun. Sure, that money went for that purpose. And also the Condor missile, the Condor 2 missile. The only thing that I saw they had as a sort of a rule of thumb was, if it doesn't blow up, ship it. In other words, they might not have a bomb, but they had everything to make a bomb with.
But as Gonzales began to uncover the relationship between the Bush administration and the financing of Saddam's military buildup, he was confronted by then Attorney General Richard Thornburg. Thornburg didn't want you to touch BNL.
Absolutely not. I mean, he did everything he could. And so then, what ironed me and angered me was that they then said, well, don't you dare have any kind of a hearing on this.
And in this letter, Attorney General Thornburg complains that Chairman Gonzales has refused to meet with him in private to talk things over.
In private, that's right. I don't meet with anybody in private in the name of the committee. Never have, never will.
And in that same letter, Attorney General Thornburg raises yet another concern. You should be aware that this is a sensitive case with national security concerns, he writes.
That's the booger in that. National security? In what way? That he then went to the Federal Reserve Board and demanded that they not respond to my subpoenas for, that is, the committee subpoenas for documents.
To find out more about the background of the BNL loans.
From the banking standpoint, I wasn't interested in foreign policy.
And national security, that must have said something to Henry Gonzalez.
You know what it said to me? It said, this old boy thinks that he's going to scare me by raising the bugaboo of national security because Gonzalez, well, you know, that's up here, that's foreign sounding. Down in Texas, that's the Smith of the Southwest. See? So I've faced this. I still face it all my career.
Yeah.
Gonzalez also received complaints from the White House itself. They informed the chairman that they were denying him access to documents and witnesses. And Thornburg's successor as Attorney General, William Barr, weighed in, accusing Gonzalez of publicly disclosing classified information.
He was George Bush's point man in the CIA when he was there. See, they all have that common background.
George Bush, when he was running CIA, had Bill Barr doing what?
He was his point man at the CIA.
What does that mean, point man?
Your stooge.
Then, in an extraordinary move, the White House National Security Advisor Brent Scowcroft went to see Gonzalez's boss, Speaker of the House Tom Foley, to complain about the chairman. And Republicans in Congress, urged on by the White House, introduced a resolution to censure Gonzalez, claiming his conduct had endangered the national security.
So what they were trying to do was try to scare me again. And
scare you from doing what?
Into possibly having the ethics committee determine that I was in violation of some rule. What I said was, hey, look, ethics committee, I'm so chock full of ethics I can let them have some of my spare. They could use it. But what I'm saying is that scare tactics, they just don't know my history. When I started out on the City Council of San Antonio, I was shot at. There was an attempt to frame me, to scare me off the city council because I was all by myself, and it backfired on them. You know, they keep on with that, they're going to make a national character out of me because it backfires on them.
Last month, the resolution to censure Gonzalez came to a vote, and his colleagues cleared him of any wrongdoing.
Banking Committee.
Persisting, the chairman and his staff managed to unearth a mountain of documents from inside the Bush administration's own files.
Among them, this national security directive, issued 8 months before Saddam invaded Kuwait, making support of the Iraqi dictator an official part of the U.S. national security policy. And right after that, Bush and Baker arranged for an additional $1 billion in taxpayer-guaranteed financing for Iraq, despite clear warnings from the intelligence community that Saddam was involved in a military buildup. What does all of this cost the United States taxpayer?
Well, in terms of direct exposure to the guarantees, it'll be $1 billion in all.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You mean monies that Iraq simply is not going to come up with because...
It hasn't, and it can't, and it won't.
And the chairman is right, where Saddam has failed to pay off billions in loans, much of it guaranteed with U.S. taxpayer money. Gonzalez believes that the administration not only wanted to obstruct his investigation, he also believes they were trying to make one man, the branch manager of BNL Atlanta, Christopher Dragul, the fall guy for the whole affair.
The theory that this was a rogue employees doing this all by himself without the knowledge of his $5 billion plus of credit?
By Christopher Dragul?
By Christopher Dragul alone and unaided? Well, then you believe in the tooth fairy.
If the government wishes to charge me with anything, at least they'll charge me with something that mirrors my true activity and not force me to shoulder the burden for BNL, the Iraqi government, and U.S. foreign policy.
Dragul claims that federal investigators promised to arrange a reduction in his possible sentence from 390 years to 15 months if he pled guilty and cooperated with their investigation. But Dragul says that cooperation meant going along with government investigators who, he says, were not interested in the involvement of Dragul's bosses at BNL in Rome, nor in the involvement of U.S. government officials.
When I started to point out knowledge, to use their word, knowledge on the part of the U.S. government in connection with these activities, and knowledge on the part of BNL, then the subject matter was closed.
But in a long court hearing in September, the government's own witnesses plus new evidence developed by Dragoul's attorney, blew gaping holes in the Justice Department's contention that no one at BNL in Rome or in Washington knew about the billions in loans to Iraq. And the federal judge in the case, Marvin Shube, also had serious doubts that Dragoul was the lone wolf, the mastermind behind the financing of Saddam.
I think to Judge Shube's eternal glory, he had a conscience to know that the government was trying to unload on this guy and shut the case up.
We went to Atlanta to talk with senior federal judge Marvin Shube.
I think it'd be inappropriate to discuss the case at this time.
But if Judge Shube felt he could not comment on camera, he did recommend to us this public document, an order he issued last September.
His order concludes, it is apparent that decisions were made at the top levels of the U.S. Justice Department, State Department, Agriculture Department, and within the intelligence community to shape this case, and that information may have been withheld from local prosecutors seeking to investigate this case.
And right after the judge issued that order, the CIA acknowledged that Dragoul was not the lone wolf after all, that they had information in their files indicating that Dragoul's superiors in Rome knew all about BNL Atlanta's billion-dollar loans to Iraq.
So you want a genuine special prosecutor, an independent...
Well, absolutely. That's the purpose of what the Congress had intended when it passed that.
To get to the bottom of the thing.
That's right.
But instead, Attorney General William Barr has appointed a retired federal judge, Frederick Lacy, as his own in-house special counsel.
Is this a legitimate undertaking, or is it a ploy?
No, it's a ploy.
So what, are you saying that Judge Lacy is Attorney General Barr's patsy?
Well, I think there's a lot of... my thinking is yes, just to put it shortly and succinctly. Of course.
What I hear you saying, Mr. Chairman, is that Dick Thornburgh, when he was Attorney General, and William Barr, now that he is Attorney General, have been involved in obstruction of justice.
Yes, sir.
I get the feeling that you believe certain people should serve time.
Well, I believe stronger than that. Maybe they should serve time, and that's for the judiciary to determine. But I believe that a man of honor would quit. He'd resign and say, look, I've proven unfit to handle this because one, out of a purely protective, partisan basis, I have tried to obstruct the Congress from knowing the truth, which means the people. After all, we're supposed to be the people's representatives.
And that's what you're charging Attorney General Thornburgh and Attorney General Barr of doing.
Exactly.
Attorney General William Barr and former Attorney General Richard Thornburgh declined to talk to us, as did former federal judge Frederick Lacy, White House Chief of Staff Jim Baker, National Security Advisor Brent Scowcroft, and President Bush.
Under this skin, there's plenty of moisture. Under your skin, too, for now. But without protection, skin can quickly lose moisture. Bad news for apples, good news for you. Because oil of Ulay works like young skin's natural fluids. It locks in that precious natural moisture like a magnet for a long time. And no greasy shine, helping to protect your skin's youthful look. Oil of Ulay twice a day for young-looking skin.
Take the wheel of the new Peugeot 405 with its unique ICD road handling system, and you know you've had this feeling before. A feeling of total control, and the confidence to handle whatever the world throws at you. The new Peugeot 405 with ICD. It takes your breath away.
Who would you say is the most difficult to wash for in your family?
This one, definitely. This little angel. She crawls around on the garden on her hands and knees and plays dog with the little boy next door and gets grass stains and soil stains and everything all over her. Which I find with Daz Ultra, they come up really white. I think Daz Ultra for the price is very, very good value.
Okay, will you swap these two enormous packets for your little one? No. I'll put this back on the shelf.
No, I don't want to.
No, I'm going to put it back on the
shelf.
shelf. That's what we find. Des Ultra users won't swap.
Mrs. Collins and Mrs. Thomas both have nasty tickly coughs. As usual, Mrs. Collins has brought her traditional cough syrup. But Mrs. Thomas has discovered Vicks Vapor Syrup, which starts working the moment you swallow, coating your throat straight away with its special cough-soothing formula. Mrs. Collins' cough syrup will work, but at a slower tempo. Vicks Vapor Syrup starts working the moment you swallow. And now available for children.
Check the index! The Index catalogue has great gift ideas, all at low prices. There's a wide range of personal stereos from only $6.99. There's MIDI systems from only $49.99. And top brand shavers from only $10.95. So why pay more?
Check the index!
Your teeth are under constant attack from plaque. So are their foundations, your gums. Fortunately, there are lines of defense. Brushing with McLean's fights the plaque that causes tooth decay. It also helps protect your gums from disease. For healthy teeth and gums, attack plaque with McLean's.
If this next story doesn't start an argument in your living room, it certainly started one in our screening room. Her name is Camille Paglia, and the mere mention of her name on college campuses and in intellectual salons is enough to start a shouting match. Her enemies have compared her to everyone from Hitler to Marilyn Quayle. Someone even suggested David Duke. Who is she, and what does she do that inspires all that hatred? Well, actually, she's a college professor and a best-selling author, a bisexual radical libertarian who is part intellectual, part stand-up comic, and full-time scold of the feminist establishment. Does she have any admirers? You bet she does. And the biggest one is Camille Paglia.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I give you writer, scholar, provocateur, force of nature, Hurricane Camille.
The 5'3" cultural terrorist is one of the hottest draws on college campuses and the lecture circuit, packing them in from Boston to San Francisco with the inflammatory, politically incorrect message that the feminist movement has lost its way.
But you have this huge pile of horse manure, okay, which is feminist. Now, maybe there is like a nickel in there, a couple nickels, okay, all right? Why should you have to go through the horse manure to get to the nickels? I'm saying forget that, okay?
A year and a half ago, she was an unknown humanities professor at the University of the Arts, an obscure Philadelphia college. Her academic career was a disaster, and for much of the 80s, the strident, Yale-educated Paglia was unable to find steady work. But that was before she took on the feminist establishment with her 700-page book, Sexual Personae. It made it briefly to the bestseller list last year. She's continued the Take No Prisoners battle with a collection of articles and essays that's currently on the bestseller list and lays out her basic take on the sexes, which is men and women are different. And for a feminist movement concerned with politics and ideology to pretend otherwise, Paglia says, is to ignore both hormones and history.
Would you take it as a compliment if I say that you're the first intellectual heroine I've found for myself since Ayn Rand?
Oh, thanks. Fabulous. Thank you.
Camille Paglia on feminism. Women will never know who they are until they let men be men. Let's get rid of infirmary feminism with its wards full of bellyachers, anorexics, bulimics, depressives, rape victims, and incest survivors. Feminism has become a catch-all vegetable drawer where bunches of clingy sob sisters can store their moldy neuroses.
Yes, I hate victimology. I despise a victim-centered view of the universe, which is symptomatic of current feminism. You do not teach young women that their heritage is nothing but victimization. This is ridiculous.
That's a pretty tough statement.
That's right. I'm going to say...
Cruel.
Well, I think that what's happened is that feminism has turned into therapy. All right? I don't think feminism should be a bunch of people sitting around and giving the endless litany of their personal sorrows. I follow the Katharine Hepburn brand of feminism, which is get on with it, okay?
Paglia says the feminist movement began 200 years ago, okay? Not with Gloria Steinem, all right? She supports the struggle for social and economic equality. but fell out with feminist dogma years ago over, of all things, rock and roll.
They said the Rolling Stones are bad musicians because they're sexist. And I said, wait a minute, there's a mix-up here between art and ideology, okay? So then I said, well, let's take the example of the song Under My Thumb. To me, a great song. Inconveniently sexist lyrics, okay? A great song, all right? Not only a great song, but a work of art. And these feminists went mad and being surrounded me, my back was to the wall, screaming at me, art, art. Nothing that demeans women can be art. Okay? Now, I'm sorry. That is the Soviet view of art. Okay? That art must serve a political agenda. I'm sorry.
Polly's idea of a true feminist heroine is Madonna, someone, she says, who knows how to get what she wants. And Polly seems to be studying her every move. She's posed wielding a knife in People magazine, with a bullwhip and black stockings in Newsweek, and with black bodyguards in Vanity Fair, revealing a little cleavage, an obsession with publicity, and a willingness to weigh in on almost any controversial subject.
Camille Polly on date rape, an issue trumped up by sex-phobic, irrational, borderline personalities.
I think that authentic rape is an outrage, but the date rape hysteria and propaganda over it is equally outrageous. It's a tool that a certain kind of anti-male feminist is using for power.
Are you saying that women don't get raped on dates?
I'm saying that I don't accept the category of date rape as a separate crime.
Suppose they don't want to have sex with the guy they're out on a date with.
See, I'm not talking about just the ordinary date. I'm talking about the situations that we know about where the people go up to someone's room drunk after a fraternity party. If you go home, take a man into your room at night that you don't know and you're drunk, you are consenting to sex. And I'm saying that's good. Go for it. Go for it, girl. This idea of changing your mind when you're there, okay, and saying, well, he had no right to do this. Oh, come on.
So you're saying when a woman says no to a man, it doesn't necessarily mean no?
Correct. I think no means no about 25% of the time, in my opinion. It does sometimes mean no.
There's a point where the man's supposed to understand that no, in this case, means no.
But the point is the statement, no always means no, is ridiculous. That's simply not true. It is simply not true. Sometimes it simply means you're asking too fast, or I'm not sure, or I'd like to if I could be sure that you'd respect me in the morning, or I'm still considering. All kinds of things. You know, I myself have said no, and suddenly an hour later I thought, well, good God, how did this happen? It's amazing the speed with which ideas become orthodoxy in this feminism, okay? First date rape, and now Anita Hill, right? Yeah? 50% of the people in this country, 50% of the women, okay, didn't particularly believe or sympathize with Anita Hill. That's forgotten now. The media, under the control of Gloria Steinem, is off making her the whole thing.
Anita Hill.
Anita Hill, all right, it seems to me, an intelligent and competent woman who has been made into a feminist heroine absolutely unjustifiably. Seems to me this is a classic case of hypocrisy. It's a woman who put her career advantage above feminist principle and then dares to suddenly claim to be a feminist 10 years down the line.
It's my sense that this is one of the biggest issues around right now with women in the workplace.
Right, it is, and I think that sexual harassment guidelines properly and wisely applied are excellent. I in my own college, pressured for the adoption of sexual harassment guidelines. There's a limit to how far they can go. I feel that women will never be treated as equals until they learn how to defend themselves by speech. Okay, if someone offends you by speech, you come right back at them. You come right back at somebody and you cut them down. It's easy to cut men down. It's easy to turn them into a puddle.
But some of Polly's harshest words are reserved for academic feminists, whom she calls third-rate careerists teaching women's studies programs that substitute politically correct curricula for traditional classical learning.
You get hundreds of young women, of highly achieving young women around the country to go into the Ivy League, okay? And they are told from the moment they arrive, you will be future leaders, okay? You have to have a career. You must have a career. That is all, and that is the way you contribute, okay? What I'm saying is feminism should be about options, okay? And part of the option is you can have a career, but we must honor the option of a woman who says, I want love. I want happiness. I want life, okay? I want to have children and to give them my attention, to have a garden, to cook, to bake cookies, okay, if I want to, and so on and so forth. That, too, is honorable. In fact, perhaps no greater gift can be given than a mother to her children than that, okay?
What it sounds like are the sexual role stereotypes that were in place when I was growing up, 20 years ago.
You're quite right. This is really true. That it turned out that the stereotypes, far from being these myths that we thought we could, shatter forever, turned out that they were kind of deposits of millennia of sexual experience, and that there was something in them.
I think one of the confusions about Polly is that she claims to be opposing feminism or opposing certain brands of feminism, and she really is opposing women.
Janet Gazzari is head of the Women's Studies program at Connecticut College, where faculty members earlier this year were so incensed with Polly's book Sexual Personae that they tried to remove it from the school's summer reading list. We asked Professor Gazzari what she thinks Polly's message really is.
That men need to subordinate women in order to bring about civilized life.
Is there room for more than one position in the feminist movement as far as you're concerned?
Not on that issue.
Some of Gazzari's colleagues labeled Polly's book hate literature as bad as Hitler's Mein Kampf. Gazzari says she understands the comparison, but she prefers another.
Well, I think the position is more easily recognizable by people if you compare her to Marilyn Quayle than it is if you compare her to Hitler.
Why Marilyn Quayle?
Because Marilyn Quayle expresses a kind of mainstream cliche about women and about feminism. And there are very close relations between her expression of it and Polly's expression of it.
I'm trying to figure out which is the deeper insult from a feminist, to compare somebody to Hitler or to Marilyn Quayle.
I don't know the answer to that one. I think probably Marilyn Quayle.
Every time they try to stereotype me as something, they look like big, heavy, lazy battleships. And then there's a little cigarette boat, a poly cigarette boat that goes pow, pow, pow. I put so many torpedoes into those battleships, they're slowly sinking, and they don't even know it.
And what about the biggest battleship of them all, the Bismarck of feminism?
Gloria Steinem.
Stalin.
Stalin? Why?
Because she's acted as a kind of establishment oppressor, keeping down dissident female voices of the last 20 years.
Like yours?
Like mine.
Nonetheless, there are...
We wanted to ask Gloria Steinem about Polly, her popularity, and her charges of feminist dogmatism. Steinem said she couldn't fit us into her schedule. But she did tell us that she, Susan Faludi, and other feminists would be speaking on a panel at New York's 92nd Street Y. So we went to the meeting where, near the end of the question period, 60 Minutes associate producer Claudia Weinstein stood up and attempted to ask the panel about Polly.
It's an issue that's gotten some sort of heated booing and hissing here.
No, you're not going to ask a question for your show about an anti-feminist woman. I'm sorry.
Why has she gotten so much attention?
We are not going to contribute to the dissension and to the notion. This is our night. That's right.
Amid the uproar, Claudia kept at it and was finally told in no uncertain terms,
Turn the cameras off. We don't give a what she thinks.
Polly is not the only dissonant voice to be ostracized by Steinem and the feminist establishment. Sally Quinn felt it last January when she wrote in the Washington Post that most women had come to see the movement as anti-male, anti-child, anti-family, and anti-feminine.
The only people who didn't seem to like the article were the feminist leaders who went absolutely bananas.
Gloria Steinem called you a water bug on the surface of life.
Well, I guess that's how I would characterize bananas.
You've met Camille Paglia. You've seen her on television. What do you make of her?
Well, I think Camille Paglia is an entertainer. I think she's a performer. I think she's a comedian. And I find her really interesting and provocative and amusing. And she's also very bright. She's a bomb thrower. But I also believe that when you're starting a new movement or a revolution of any kind, that you do have to be an extremist in order to get people's attention. You have to throw bombs.
One of the things that we've noticed, I mean, there's been a lot of applause, a lot of laughter in the auditoriums. When we come outside and we talk to people, one thing we hear over and over again is, this woman is on an incredible ego trip. Narcissistic. They seem to think that it affects your credibility.
Well, this is ridiculous because the big number one problem of feminism, according to Miss Gloria Steinem, is self-esteem, the self-esteem dilemma. Well, there am I, a walking, talking illustration. I have no self-esteem problems whatever. Okay, well, it's about time there was a woman egomaniac. We've had Norman Mailer, we've had Gore Vidal, we've had Truman Capote. When a woman does it, gee, they start talking about ego. Come on, give us a break.
Why do I prefer farm foods? If you'd been, you wouldn't ask. It's real family shopping is farm foods. All the family favourites, very tasty offers. 400 grams Farm Foods Best Pack Bacon, $1.69 down to $1.39. £7 to £7.50 an ounce. Matthew's Golden Norfolk Turkeys, just $3.99. And Farm Foods Family Fruit and Cream Trifle, 99p down to 69p. Who says you can't give them the best and still save money? Tell them one about Three Bears.
Farm Foods Freezer Centres. Quality and choice at surprisingly low prices.
I used to wake each morning, I really go to town. Now I use insignia with a clean, fresh, subtle smell. So try insignia, create a buzz, not a hum.
For perfect English, you don't need a plum in your mouth. You need an apple. Real English coxes taste English to the core.
Max Factor International creates sheer impact. Makeup that looks flawless in any kind of light. New color and light lets light in, so skin looks flawless, indoors or out. New color and light from Max Factor. Flawless in any kind of light. Impact. Max Factor International.
When I discovered that this new Fairy Excel isn't just tougher on grease, but also gentler than ever on hands,
Your teeth are under constant attack from plaque. So are their foundations, your gums. Fortunately, there are lines of defense. Brushing with McLean's fights the plaque that causes tooth decay. It also helps protect your gums from disease. For healthy teeth and gums, attack plaque with McLean's.
Free in Sugar Puffs. 4 dinosaur footprint stickers that glow in the dark. A set of glow-in-the-dark dinosaur footprints. Free in Sugar Puffs.
Ooh, chocolate ice cream. Mum says she'll never get it out. I remember you.
It's Bolognese. I don't know how I'll ever get it off.
Fondue. On our anniversary. It's ruined. I remember you.
Take away spring roll, but you can't take it away.
Yes, you can, because unlike conventional liquids, new Persil Micro dissolves fatty stains like greased lightning.
This is where Jerry Hall splashed me with gravy.
New Persil Micro Liquid makes fatty marks a thing of the past.
I know you can't see it now.
The China syndrome is not about a nuclear meltdown, it's about China, cups and saucers. It's also the oddest crime story we've ever come across. The tale begins almost 20 years ago and involves a passionate collector of Chinese export porcelain, pieces that go back to the 1800s. In sheer numbers of pieces stolen, he may well be the art thief of the century. His career ended in 1991 when the Delaware State Police arrested Dr. John Feller and then called in FBI agents. They say he stole more than 150 objects from the most prestigious museums. In Massachusetts from the Peabody, in Delaware from the Winterthur, in England from the Ashmolean in Oxford. They say he stole from the homes of private collectors. But did he really do it? Yes. Everything they say is true. Meet Dr. John Feller, professor of history and master thief. He's now at Allenwood Federal Prison Camp in Pennsylvania. Feller is, perhaps, the leading authority on export porcelain. Over the years, he'd published more than 30 articles, books, and catalogs. He says it was easy to steal from museums because, as a scholar, he had access, and they didn't even know what they had.
I didn't know that when I took the things. I think had I known it then, I wouldn't have felt nearly as nervous about it.
And probably would have taken more.
I may have taken more. I may have.
No one has yet placed a total value on what he stole. Some things he took were junk. Some were worth a few $100s, and some worth more than $50,000. Feller began serving a 1.5-year sentence last December after pleading guilty to transporting stolen goods across state lines. His crime spree began in Hartford, Connecticut, almost 20 years ago at the oldest museum in the country, the Wadsworth Atheneum.
I saw some pieces there at the Wadsworth. They were in the storage room. They were not on display. Some of them were damaged.
So this was stuff somebody gave them and they just shoved it in the cellar?
It was shoved in the cellar. It was dirty. It was filthy.
And you liberated it?
And I liberated it. Yes, I did. I liberated it.
How'd you get it out of there? How'd you get it past security?
I probably unbuttoned the lower part of my shirt, stuck it right there. The shirt was buttoned over it, and I held in my posture that day. I had very good posture, and I held in my stomach a little bit more, and was able to walk out with it.
Over the next 3 or 4 years, Feller was able to walk out of the Wadsworth storage room with nearly 40 pieces. His justification?
They did not have a single piece of Chinese export porcelain and very little other porcelain on display in the entire museum.
Feller the thief would return from his museum lifting expeditions to the security of the history department at the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania, a slightly eccentric bachelor professor with a quiet passion for China. Did you suffer from the curse of acquisitiveness?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent it was true, because I was a collector myself. I was buying an awful lot of porcelain during this period.
And filling in the gaps by stealing?
And filling in, not so much the gaps, though, in my own collection. I was filling in more the museum's gaps.
The museum being the Peabody Museum in Salem, Massachusetts, a museum dedicated to the China trade. Quite simply, John Feller was in love with this museum, so much so that he gave or loaned them some of his best pieces, both bought and stolen. He says, in any courtship, you exchange things. By 1991, he'd presented to his sweetheart, this museum, 250 pieces, more or less, many of them displayed over his name in these cases. Were there no questions asked when this visiting young academic rather suddenly becomes a major benefactor?
No, there weren't. I sort of waited for that to happen. Naturally, there were times they would say, where did you possibly get that piece? Or how did you find that piece? I had to make up a story.
And it seems his stories were believed, for the museum bestowed upon him its highest honor. It made him a trustee. John Feller, the academic from an obscure Catholic university, being courted by the exclusive WASP world of Salem. But there were doubters. Carl Crossman, an art dealer and expert on porcelain, who had a 20-year association with the Peabody. He regarded Feller as an interloper, a social climber.
I couldn't figure out how someone on a professor's salary was coming up with grander and more magnificent pieces of porcelain.
Crossman became convinced Feller was a thief after the great teacup caper in 1986. Years earlier, at the Rhode Island School of Design Museum, young Professor Feller was allowed into an attic storage area and stashed 7 or 8 objects in his jacket pockets. Among them, one of the museum's prized possessions, a double-handled teacup with the Great Seal of the United States. You kept the pieces for 10 years.
Yes.
Then you gave them to the Peabody.
Yes.
Then you stole them from the Peabody.
Then I removed them from the Peabody. I was a little bit annoyed with 2 or 3 of the people at the Peabody, and I thought, well, that's how they feel. They don't have to have these things.
The disappearance of the double-handled teacup caused a furor at the Peabody. 2 people on staff were convinced Feller was the only person with opportunity and access. Crossman says he went to the director. Why didn't they launch an investigation, do you think?
I think it was hard to believe that somebody who had been taken into that kind of confidence, that was that closely related to the museum, with that much on loan, was under suspicion.
With the suspicions about him, he was still made a trustee. How did you react to that news?
Very badly.
Feller did have some close calls. at the Peabody, at a meeting of ceramic experts, a curator from another museum pointed to a piece of china.
And she said, it's my favorite piece. And she said, if I had a choice of any other piece in the Peabody Museum for our little museum, she said, I would pick that one. And it was from her museum.
How did you get through that one?
Your heart stops for a few seconds, and a cold chill goes through you, and you sort of smile and say, well, you have very good taste. It's one of my favorite pieces, too. And you try and move on to something else.
Though there is still uncertainty about how much he stole, there is no doubt about how modestly he lived. His apartment in a working-class suburb of Scranton was as eccentric as the man. You get no sense it was lived in, just occupied. Yet it was a sanctuary. For Professor John Feller, from the tedium of teaching. For the thief John Feller, from the panic and the scheming. Here he could find some peace, surrounded as he was by the silent objects of his desire. But eventually, even they turned on him.
Well, I described it once as being drowning in a sea of porcelain.
So there were twinges.
Oh, yes.
More than twinges.
Oh, more than twinges. There were nightmares. I mean, you can't just go around museums as if they're lending libraries and take things out and not return them.
Did you feel that, as sometimes people do, that I didn't do this, some other person did this?
No, I did it. No, I didn't feel that way at all. I did it.
Good afternoon, Wadsworth Athenaeum.
He became bolder and bolder. He once designed an enormous photography case, went into the Wadsworth with it empty, and came out with a 38-pound ceramic garden seat inside, got cold feet, and returned it.
Why? It was crazy.
The whole thing is crazy.
The whole thing is crazy, but you have to stop somewhere, and whether that was the moment, I don't know.
Feller says his crimes began to gnaw at him. He turned to religion for solace, and for a time, he says, he stopped stealing.
I really did feel that the problem was under control.
But it wasn't.
But apparently, it wasn't fully under control. I thought it was, but it really wasn't.
Feller's passion for other people's porcelain surfaced for the last time at the Winterthur Museum near Wilmington, Delaware. It was January 1991. Feller, here on a research grant, was sorting through this extremely valuable service said to have belonged to George Washington. He was tempted. Just a few weeks before, he'd stolen 2 pieces from another collection in this museum. He took one of these small platters, hid it among his papers, and left. On his way out, he either lost his nerve or decided to end his criminal career his way. Instead of leaving, he walked into this room and hid the platter in this drawer. Why, at that point, did you not simply put it back where it belonged?
Because that wouldn't have solved anything. Then I might be tempted again and again and again, and might give in to temptation in the future.
Then he did something truly bizarre. He reported the platter missing. There was a massive search here at Winterthur. It took 11 days to find the platter, and then the Delaware State Police were called in. Feller was questioned, and he confessed. The state trooper he confessed to wondered what kind of criminal he had on his hands.
Couldn't understand at all. I mean, what is this guy interested in dishes for? I mean, well, he couldn't understand any of it in that sense.
Except that they were dishes.
Except they were dishes, yeah.
Guilty of the crime of
stealing
dishes.
Dishes. And in the case of Wadsworth, the famous things was he stole dirty dishes. Filthy. He had to take them home and wash them.
Why, though, John, did you choose such an elaborate way of getting caught?
The problem had been bothering me a long, long time. Here was an opportunity. It's dumb. It was not very bright, but it's what I did.
Feller says he thought if he explained it all, he'd never go to jail. One reason why he never asked for a lawyer.
I did not want a lawyer precisely because I knew a lawyer would say to me, stop. You're talking too much. Let's bargain. I didn't want that. I wanted it over with. I did it my way.
And you thought that by doing it your way, by making a full confession,
I thought there was a chance.
that they'd understand?
Maybe.
Feller did cooperate. He took the FBI through the 600-odd objects in his Scranton apartment and identified which were stolen and from where. The supervising agent, Kevin Donovan, says without Feller's help, their job would have been impossible. In effect, he placed more trust in the thief than in the museum.
Dr. Feller was really the one who knew what was stolen. We certainly couldn't have a mob scene of 100 curators coming in to tell us this is mine and this is mine. So I think under the circumstances, we had to use Dr. Feller, his expertise.
What did you do when you learned about his arrest?
Oh, I think I jumped up and down a few times, and I think I called about 10 people I knew. Made a drink. And
Then came the shock. The Peabody discovered that it was not only John Feller's biggest beneficiary, but also his biggest victim. At least 50 pieces taken. Was there surprise at the volume of stuff he'd taken?
Yeah.
Are you a criminal?
No, I'm not a criminal. No. I am not a criminal.
Whatever John Feller thinks he is, he left behind an unholy mess. The Peabody has removed his gifts from its shelves. Some museums are claiming various pieces as theirs. Others say that the things he claims were stolen from them never belonged to them. If ownership can't be proven, and it's difficult with porcelain, guess where the unclaimed pieces will go? Right. Back to John Feller when he gets out of prison, which could be as early as next month.
You're not really going to let Andy Rooney tell you who to vote for, are you? Well, maybe not who to vote for, but at the very least, how to make up your mind.
If you haven't decided who to vote for yet, or if you've decided but aren't sure you're right, don't worry about it. You aren't alone. Maybe your problem is you don't know enough. Well, tonight we're going to give you a little election quiz to see how much you do know. George Bush says Bill Clinton can't be trusted. Bill Clinton says George Bush can't be trusted. Indicate who you think is right. Bush, Clinton, you think they're both right. No matter who's elected, do you think taxes will go A, up, or B, way up? The national debt is $4 trillion. How many zeros are there in 1 trillion? Which two of these 5 men are not running for president? President Bush ends every speech the same way.
And may God bless the United States of America. And God bless the United States of America.
God bless the United States of America.
And may God bless the United States of America.
Question. Because of Mr. Bush's request, do you think God will be A, more apt to bless America, B, less apt to bless America, C, doesn't want to get involved? This is a different kind of question. We're asking you to fill in the one word in the following sentence that best describes how both George Bush and Bill Clinton feel about Ross Perot. Here's the sentence. Ross Perot is as blanky as a fruitcake. Fill in the blank with one word. If you were getting a haircut, whose barber would you choose? Bill Clinton's barber, George Bush's barber, Ross Perot's barber? And this is a trick question. At 10 minutes past noon on Wednesday, January 20th, 1993, how many living ex-presidents will there be? Name them. I'll help. Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan. Anyone else next year who used to be president?
If you're the UN ambassador to Somalia and you criticize the lack of support you're getting from the United Nations to fight the famine in that country, you can probably get away with it. But say it on television, as Ambassador Mohammed Sahnoun did 2 weeks ago on 60 Minutes, and you're gone. Under fire for his talking to us, among others, Ambassador Sahnoun resigned this week. I'm Ed Bradley. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
Pardon?
It's an issue that's gotten some sort of heated booing and hissing here.
No, you're not going to ask a question for your show about an anti-feminist woman. I'm sorry.
Why has she gotten so much attention?
We are not going to contribute to the dissension and to the notion. This is our night.
That's right.
Amid the uproar, Claudia kept at it and was finally told in no uncertain terms,
Turn the cameras off. We don't give a what she thinks. The big number one problem of feminism, according to Miss Gloria Steinem, is self-esteem, the self-esteem dilemma. Well, there am I, a walking, talking illustration. I have no self-esteem problems whatever. Okay, well, it's about time there was a woman egomaniac. We've had Norman Mailer, we've had Gore Vidal, we've had Truman Capote. When a woman does it, gee, they start talking about ego. Come on, give us a break.
Celebrating 25 years of one of London's most famous live music venues next on Night Time with a visit to the Marquee Club.
New Insignia Rear.
The new Volkswagen Golf, designed to be the safest and most recyclable Volkswagen ever built.
To get my hair looking great and without dandruff, I don't need 2 bottles, I need 1 bottle.
Dandruff Control Vidal Sassoon Wash and Go.
A treat and wash ball. New Fairy Ultra's got one, but does any other concentrated non-bio liquid?
Is anything more refreshing than a mint with a hole? Hello, hello.
No.
Well, just before 10 to 5 here on Night Time, we make a visit to the New Forest in About Britain. But first, a trip down memory lane for the Marquee Club, starting with a joke.
Texan oil millionaire calls his son to him and says, "Son," he says, "you're 8 years old. Today, it's your birthday. He said, I'd like to buy you a present." He says, "But Father," he said, "I've got most things. I don't want anything." He said, "There must be something you want. Think about it." So he says, "Well, I'll tell you what I'd like." He says, "I'd like a new cowboy outfit." So he came over to England and tried to buy him the Marquee Club.
I was a lonely person. I came down from Lancashire, and the very first person I met after I got off the train was a young actuary called Chris Barber. And he and I became very close friends. And we used to meet and play records together, and then he announced he was going to form a jazz band. And I said, "Really? You know, what are you going to play?" He said, "Trombone." I said, "Well, have you got a drummer?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, I played drums in the Boys Brigade."
I mean, he was always interested, and he did play a bit with the first amateur sessions he organised. He played drums occasionally, but that didn't last very long, mainly because there was a couple of very good drummers about in that particular group, and they played instead. But no, Harold didn't turn out to be a great musician. It's a bit like, I mean, he's an accountant. I mean, he's a qualified accountant, not just a person who does accounts.
We went all around the world. We played America, coast to coast. We played for President Kennedy. We played at Monterey. And then I got bored with that, and we went behind the Iron Curtain, and we played all behind the Iron Curtain.
And we were playing the clubs that were going at the time, many of which are going now. We didn't like them very much for various reasons, acoustics and different things about them, smell in some cases. And we thought we want to get a place where we can run it ourselves and open it ourselves.
And then I got tired, personally, of travelling. I got fed up of living out of a suitcase, and I got married. And I decided the best thing to do was launch a club.
And we did. The old Academy Cinema basement, and the local owned it, so we could have it. It was decorated like a tent. It was called the Marquee, so we call it the Marquee.
Putting attention, what's your name? Little Ida Jane. Who's your papa? You find your papa, my little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane. Big for your size, jump for your age, little Ida Jane. Free-handed single and you disengage. Little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane. Back to back, little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane. Oh, little Ida Jane.
I'm standing in Oxford Street outside of the Academy Cinema. It wasn't always a cinema. This is where the Marquee Club started in 1958. That's 25 years ago. This is the youth of today. 25 years ago, I was one of those. Wait, do you know who I am?
Don't know who you are now, but I know who you used to be.
Well, who was I then?
Oh yeah, you were that Dave D, that old pop star.
Bit cheeky, but never mind. I'm going to give you a little lesson. We're going to go across the road. I'm going to show you 25 years of musical history. And if you're very, very lucky, you just may learn something.
Do you think you're going to impress me?
When I got up this morning, I believe I lost my blues. When I got up this morning, I believe I lost my blues. Ain't got no time, babe, no time to lose. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna write a letter, send one telegram. Gonna write a letter, gonna send one telegram. Gonna tell that babe, you know she's losing one good man. Hey, yeah, come on.
John G.
Dave, lovely to see you again.
Nice to see you. That's Karina.
Hello, Karina.
Hello.
Representing the enemy. And
I remember it well.
I reckon we're about the same age.
Give or take 20 years.
John, we are on stage, of course, or where the stage was.
This was the stage.
And looking out from this way, how many people did you used to get in here?
Between 600 and 700. There were times we had, I remember the late Ted Heath. You've heard of Ted Heath?
No.
No? No. Well, there was a famous band called...
You'll
remember. Not the politician. They played here. We had 900 people in here, which was... Well,
so what was it, just a straight room, or did you have
just
a bar?
We had a over here, to the left here.
What, just over on the left?
Yep. There was a big coffee bar where they did like refreshments, sandwiches, hamburgers, this type of thing.
But not a bar, no?
Not a bar.
So how did you get involved?
with the
club? The marquee organisation which runs the club is composed of old jazzers, I'm afraid, like Chris Barber, Harold Pendleton.
Chris and I were in America, and we used to go down in Chicago, South Side, and watch Muddy Waters. And we loved Muddy. We felt Muddy was contemporary Negro music.
Of course, you get Muddy Waters comes on, they go, you know, and a lot of people started into the blues movement because they heard Muddy Waters when we brought him over on tour. In the first year in this club here, my band brought in Jimmy Witherspoon and T-Bone Walker, who appeared here with us, who again are not particularly known to younger people, but without what they did, you wouldn't have the English people, Rory Gallagher. It's more the blues side, like Rory Gallagher, you know, I'm sure you've heard of him. I believe there's a story that I read in the bio that this was the stage where the Rolling Stones actually got thrown off.
That's quite correct.
They were supporting Alexis Corner.
Yeah,
what
right.
happened? How do you throw the Rolling Stones off anyway?
Well, it did them a lot of good, didn't it? So, I'd rather not make any comment there because I wasn't actually associated with those nights, but Harold Pendleton would tell you, I'm sure, the whole background.
In fact, they got fired for being awful because I can only remember the night they left.
Left or got fired?
Fired.
Fired.
I came out of the stage entrance of the Marquee with Cyril Davis, and there's a band loading on the other side of the road. I said, "Good night," and they shouted back something unprintable. And I said to Cyril, I said, "They're a bit annoyed." Why? He said, "I've just fired them." He said, "They were bloody awful." I said, "What were they called?" He said, "The Rolling Stones." I said, "Oh, really?" Went down to the pub, have a drink.
We met, for example, Alexis Corner, who started a band called Blues Incorporated, and he wanted to play in the West End. And he came to us, and we opened the club for him on Thursday nights. And that led to the big rhythm and blues movement.
To me, it was all a bit authentic, a bit sort of authentic. You see, Alexis thought the Rolling Stones weren't quite up to standard as they were as a support band. You see, and I mean, I mean, you know, Alexis is a highbrow, you know, which is fair enough, and we were all a bit highbrow in that time. You see, and the Stones' attitude to rock and roll, to R&B, was rather sort of, to us, rather poppy in its approach. And I mean, we're a bit snooty about it. I mean, we're daft, but I mean, young people, you know, I plead ignorance and youth.
Gypsy woman told my mother, before I was born, you got a boy child coming, gonna be a son of a gun. Make all you pretty women's jump and shout till the whole world knows what this all about. 'Cause I'm here. Everybody knows I'm a rich man. Everybody knows I'm here. On the 7th hour, on the 7th day, on the 7th month, the 7 doctors say he was born for good luck. And as you'll see, I got $700. Don't you mess with me, 'cause I'm here. Everybody knows. Everybody knows I'm here.
We hadn't got set patterns to follow then. I mean, there wasn't any particular way to be successful. If you were lucky, you played music which people liked, and we wanted to play R&B, and a lot of jazz players around were tired of playing jazz, and they wanted to play something else. And we sort of got bands together, some guitar bands, some bands with saxophones. There wasn't a particular pattern for a successful band. I remember leading amazing bands, I won't name anyone, but absolutely extraordinary bands who were all totally out of their heads most of the time. I mean, until they were on stage, and then they played like demons or angels, depending on your point of view. But in their lives, apart from that, I mean, you had to pick them up, put them in the bandwagon and carry them out and stand them up on stage with the prop at the other end sometimes, you know.
This was after the gig?
No, this was before the gig sometimes, but you never knew it when they were playing. It had that funny thing of reviving them suddenly, and they would come to life.
I mean, if you're working with guys that are not completely together,
yeah.
I mean, I personally, when I was on stage, I mean, I couldn't even have a drink before I went on because I wouldn't get anything together. So I mean, that must have been a real hassle for you.
It was a hassle for me because I was a clean young man, and I knew about these things, but I didn't do them.
You're smiling about it, so it can't have been that bad. I mean, just great memories.
Anything you survive is good for you, and I certainly have great memories of that.
The music started changing to R&B, and I began to lose touch. I had the, in my opinion, sense to back off and get somebody younger in to do it. In fact, you've already met one or two of them, like they're a bit older now, John G. and Jack Barry.
Prior to my involvement with the Marquee, I was a fish and chip shop proprietor in Kingsland in Norfolk. And having nothing better to do with my spare time, I used to promote the Saturday night dances at the Kingsland Corn Exchange, which led to becoming involved in groups, local bands, and financing them, and one of which I brought to London to try and make their fame and fortune, my fortune as well. And unfortunately, we failed.
So you go from fish and chips to managers.
But that's it. I managed the groups, unfortunately, which were not successful at that particular stage. Mind you, I'm proud to say that a lot of the bands and individuals I was involved with in those days became very successful afterwards. But at that period, they weren't successful financially, and I lost all my money and had to start from scratch.
A lot of bands in those days wanted to play at the Marquee. It was a place to play, and you know, I mean, it was a stepping stone for like the Arbors, the Stones, and the Who, and things like that, you know. But I mean, there are, as you know yourself, there's thousands of bands which have played here and have never been heard of since.
Oh yes, we went off, and I became assistant to John G, who was then the manager, and then I actually took over from John G as the manager.
I felt around about that time, the early 70s, that the Marquee was sort of dying off a bit, you know, as a club. And I mean, we started working a lot in Germany, and we didn't really take much notice of what was going on in London or in Britain at all, you know. It was just a different kind of scene. And there was other clubs coming up, like what was that one where they always used to take acid and stuff? Somebody's Garden, Gandalf's Garden, and things like that. Yeah. There were all those kind of clubs were cropping up, and I think the Marquee went a little bit into, you know, into the background around about that time.
Oh, this is the life.
Just the two of us.
Excuse me. Couldn't give me a lift ashore, could you?
Of course.
Climb aboard.
Coffee?
Terrific. Nescafe. No mistaking coffee at its best. Thanks. Look, I'd like to return the favor. Why don't you join me on my boat tomorrow?
Nescafe. Why shouldn't life be this good? The Hotpoint Aquarius wash system gives outstanding results using less electricity and less water than before. So naturally, Hotpoint Aquarius recommends new Persil Micro system. Its microfine powder goes directly to work, rapidly dispersing in the water. And when you see outstanding results like these, that's when you see the teamwork of new Persil Micro system and Hotpoint Aquarius. That's when you see the whole picture.
Yo, there, pretty mama. Hunger gnawing me to the bone. I'm fishing for something to jaw on. Crispy in the main street. And wearing top to toe is Sunday best. And I want that in replay. You catch my drift? Ow! We are so brother, sweet thing. It's time for the feet to hit the street. Yo, skin that little blood.
Drifter, it's a real mouthful.
Did you catch my drift?
I share a house with 4 girls in a hard water area. Dove lather duff as if it was a soft water area. Sometimes I have a dry patch here, but after Dove, it hasn't happened. And my skin's soft all over now.
Dove with neutral cleansing ingredients and 1/4 moisturizing cream won't dry your skin like soap can. Now available in cream bath and shower.
Tim, my boyfriend, said, your skin's nice. To get a out of him means Dove's doing something good.
Get up, get up, get up! To Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, put 'em in the toaster. They pop out hard. Revolutionize your breakfast. Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. Oh, great flavors and they're waiting for you. Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, so hot they're cool.
About 25 years of the Marquee so far.
Yeah, I think it's quite good actually.
You're starting to become a little bit, you've enjoyed it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you some of my memories of the Marquee is that I was very nearly a jazz fan, but not quite. At least not in 1958. But my first recognition of the Marquee Club, it was a place where I wished that I could have played it. And I thought maybe one day, if I can get up to London, because I lived in the West Country, and if I could get up to London, that maybe someone would discover me and make me a star. Unfortunately, it didn't quite happen that way. But I did play on the stage of the Marquee, and I had to wait until about 1966 or 1967 to get there. But my memory of the Marquee was it was exactly the same as we've seen it over the last however long. Full of screaming girls, like the girls you hate that scream after Duran Duran. And I got pulled off stage, I had my shirt ripped off my back. And for me, it was just fantastic. I'd also like to say it's a great way to travel.
I think I could have one for Christmas.
I don't know, but I'll have a word with your dad. Who we're going to meet now is a guy who I've known for 19 years. He's been a friend for 19 years. He was the drummer with the Small Faces. Remember the Small Faces? He then was the drummer with Rod Stewart and the Faces.
I know Rod Stewart.
You know Rod Stewart. And now he's the drummer with who? Can you hear the drums?
Yeah.
Come on, let's go and meet Kenny Jones. Kenny!
Hello, Gasco.
Come and have a seat.
With you in a
Come and
minute.
have a seat.
Thank you very much, Captain.
Karina, Kenny
Karina.
Jones.
Nice to meet you.
Kenny Jones, Karina. Kenny, we've been spending a little bit of time doing a documentary on the 25 years at the Marquee. So first of all, can I ask you what the Marquee meant, if anything, to you?
A lot of great memories, and to this day, it's very consistent. It's still there.
But it wasn't just the Marquee. There was a whole scene going on in the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, in that area.
The whole thing about the early 60s was that it wasn't just music, it was the clothes. I mean...
Yeah, that's what I like about what's
I'm trying to
going
think
on
about
today,
the clothes that you used to wear and the way that we all sort of backcombed our hair and used the old hair lacquer.
Yeah.
I
One of the funniest things about Carnaby Street, with talking about fashion in those days, was we had a gig up north in Birmingham or somewhere, and the Small Faces got some time off to buy some clothes in Carnaby Street. So we all went our different ways, and we all came back together to meet, to get into the car to go up to Birmingham. And I came out at Lord John's with a check shirt on, with a check tie, check jacket, check trousers and check shoes, and they all ran away from me and got in the car just because I looked like Coco the Clown. You know, I thought I was being
trendy.
Mod.
For me,
Oh, yeah.
it was a whole heap of fun. I mean, I'd just give one example of what I now look upon with affection as fun. There was a guy called Chaz Chandler, who we both know, who was the bass player with the Animals. And being a Geordie, he said, "Here, Davey." He said, "I got this great guitarist," he said, "from America." He said, "I've just made this. I can't do the Geordie accent anyway."
I was going to
It's lousy, wasn't it? He said,
right.
He said, "He's great, man." He said, "I've just made a record," and he played me an acetate by this guy called Jimi Hendrix, and it was "Hey Joe." It was the old Tim Rose song, right? And I mean, if you think
that if that was the beginning of Jimi Hendrix, he said, and apart from that, man, he said, he plays it with his teeth and his feet as well. And I listened to this record of Hey Joe, and I thought, Jesus. And that was when I decided that I didn't want to be a pop star anymore.
What do you think so far?
Not bad.
What do you mean, not bad? If there's anything you want to know, then I think you better go and find out for yourself. Go on.
Come on, my love. Yes. Oh, there we go.
I know you. You're Phil Collins.
I've been called worse.
You did You Can't Hurry Love, didn't you?
Yes, I've done that. You want to know some things about the Marquee?
Yeah.
Well, when the first rock gig that I ever saw, well, I suppose I was about your age, I went to the Marquee. I was taken by a friend of mine, and we saw the Yardbirds. And the Yardbirds were a very, very regular visitor to the Marquee. And Jeff Beck, who was a guitarist, he is a guitarist, and he was, it was his first concert with the band, first club gig with the group. And it was the first time I'd ever been exposed to noise. You know, I played music and played in groups, but it was the first time I'd ever been in a confined club with all this noise coming. And the bass player, Paul Hammersmith, his bass was so low it made me feel really, really sick, which was the first time it ever happened to me. It's the first and only time it ever happened to me. But the Marquee was one of those places where you could always see a band, you know, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and in a month's time, chances are that they would be doing such great business that you wouldn't better get in, you know. I used to come straight from school, queue up, and because the queues, depending on how big the act was, and if it was The Who, then people would start queuing about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I used to go down there straight from school, and because I was a musician, I got to know John and Jack, 2 managers, very well, and they used to let me in early, and I used to sweep the floor or put the chairs up in a nice little semicircle around the stage. I saw Led Zeppelin's first gig there. It was a great place to go.
I think one of the sad things is that the top 10 bands, which you could see top 10 and top 20 bands here as a matter of course in the old days, Well, that's no longer true, but I don't think it weakens the role of the club in music, you know, because if you want to spot the good stuff that's coming up, you still have to come here. And I've always found, I've never actually signed a band out of the Marquee, but if I do sign a band, I'm very keen that they are quickly showcased in the Marquee. A great example in the old days was a marvellous Newcastle band called Lindisfarne. First night they ever played here, the Marquee did me a great favour putting them on. There were probably 20 people paid, you know. It was pretty dreadful. And but the next time they played here, having done a little bit elsewhere in between, and even the word of mouth of those 20 people, there was something like 500 people here. And that's the tremendous value of the place, you know, the word of mouth. The people who come here regularly know what qualities are bad. It seems to get around London like a bushfire. If a good band appears here, you can bet after 2 or 3 appearances they've got a following.
Oat bran
Oat bran.
may help reduce cholesterol.
May help reduce cholesterol.
As part of a low-fat diet.
As part of a low-fat diet.
Oat bran sounds like common sense.
Medical experts suggest 2 out of 3 people would be wise to consider reducing their cholesterol. So it's common sense to care about what you eat. Couldn't someone in your life use a little common sense?
Whether it's the best tasting spaghetti bolognese or freshly frozen lasagna, only Dolmio will do. Because every Dolmio recipe uses the finest natural ingredients, all combined to create that delicious Dolmio taste. For spaghetti bolognese or freshly frozen lasagna, Dolmio is simply irresistible. Dolmio, only the best will do.
You don't have to wait for the coffee to serve cappuccino. Viennetta cappuccino. One slice is never enough.
Ooh, chocolate ice cream. Mum says she'll never get it out. I remember you.
Which bolognese? I don't know how I'll ever get it off.
Fondue. On our anniversary. It's ruined. I remember you.
Take away spring roll, but you can't take it away.
Yes, you can, because unlike conventional liquids, new Persil Micro dissolves fatty stains like greased lightning.
This is where Jerry Hall splashed me with gravy.
New Persil Micro liquid makes fatty marks a thing of the past.
I know you can't see it now.
Aftershave from Lynx.
Right, wake up.
What do you want, a van or something?
No, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm DJ.
I'm DJ. Wait, whereabouts do you DJ?
Come here, I'll show you things. Yeah, this is where I spend all my life.
So this is it? This is where
This is it, indeed. Oh, look, I've done the record. Let's cue a record up, shall we?
How long have you been at the Marquee?
13 years.
13 years. And what sort of groups do you know famous that are famous now been here?
Can we go back to Punk It, though? Because that was, I always felt that I missed things. And when Punk came along, I went crazy for it. I went to the 100 Club, which is nothing to do with the Marquee, but saw like Susie and the Banshees and things.
At that beginning of the punk, with all that social comment, we avoided it. They played a couple of supports here, certain bands, Sex Pistols being one, and we decided that's where music was going. Then of course the Marquee wasn't going there, and we probably persevered a little longer than other venues with what we considered to be music.
Scared shitless I was. I was hiding behind the pillars up there, and that was about 1976, end of 76, when Susan and the Banshees, the Clash played up there. Then I moved to the Roxy, and then very
Fine. Punk came into the club here.
How did it come here?
Well, we had the Pistols. They were supporting one night. I thought, I've seen this band before. And following Sunday, we had the Stranglers, who put a stall right through the window there in the bar.
Out of it, though, you could see that there was going to be music.
But you had bands here like Dire Straits.
Oh, well, there was going. You could see that with certain bands and certain artists, there was survival.
Recognition.
There was going
Adam
to be
and the Ants.
There was going to be music will come from it, and it would settle down. And out of it, those that would persevere at last would be the musicians. I mean, the new musicians, and exactly what you've just said.
Punk was very necessary to the club because punters weren't coming in. The rock movement was dying, and it needed something new. And punk was filling up this place sort of about 5-6 days a week.
Punk's still here now, isn't it?
For sure, yes. We've had the Six Hanging Children here, Chelsea back in and out, and things like that.
Well, why don't you announce, like John G does, when he goes on stage and he does his little song and he
Well, when I can afford the toupee that John G has, I will do.
He doesn't wear one anymore.
Something like that.
Applause.
Applause, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to London's famed Marquee Club. Tonight we have a star-studded bill. The Yardbirds featuring Eric Clapton, Long John Baldry of the Hoochie Coochie Men with Rod Stewart. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
How long have you been responsible for actually booking the acts into the club?
About 2.5 years.
But in that 2.5 years, you must have had hundreds of bands come through the door. How many that you personally would put money on have made it, or how many do you think will make it in the future? Just name a few of them.
Well, I think Marillion is the obvious one that worked hard at the Marquee.
Right, we've got Marillion. Are there any bands that she would know that have actually had hit records, or?
Well, recently a band exactly the same format is The Truth, who recently had a top 10 hit.
No. Top 10
Thomas
hit?
Dolby, whose single at this present time is still in the top 20.
You've not heard of Thomas Dolby?
No.
What rock have you just climbed out from underneath? Because I know who they are.
Must have heard of the Bell Stars.
I've heard of the Bell Stars.
Well,
thank you.
there's
1 out of
another
3 is not bad. You are improving. Now, this is the first time that you've ever been into the Marquee. I mean, did you know about the Marquee before the last few days?
Yeah.
Did you know what it was, what it meant, how much history, if you like, musical history had been through this building? I mean, did it mean anything to you at all as a young person?
Nothing at all.
Well, that's totally knackered my next question, because
I think actually it shows. It shows particularly from the point of view of her likes and dislikes in music. Perhaps with the exception of Duran Duran, who actually did start here, but a lot of bands started here who didn't quite fit into the Marquee's image, but who were looking at that stage, bands of that nature, for extraordinary venues that didn't quite suit them because they were trying to sort of prove something. But with her likes of music, it's not the Marquee type music. If she likes disco music, we don't play disco music. We don't have live disco bands.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting
That's why
point.
she wouldn't know the Marquee. Anybody who, at her age or thereabouts, would know the Marquee. Those that are interested in rock music and progressive.
I don't think we've offered particularly a better lot of stuff, except by accident. We were the best at the time, the biggest, or one of the biggest clubs. I mean, of course, much smaller now with fire regulations and everything else, limiting the crowd. But in those days of the big crowds, it was a potential good money earner for a big name band. Now, it isn't now. It's fun and nostalgia for a big name band now, and they've very nice that they've all paid to the continent of getting together again and come back to play here during the Jubilee celebrations. But I think it really, it was the important one at the time when that was the foundation of the whole business, and that's like in the rock business. So everybody who was a rock fan then remembers it, and that's it. You just do remember things from when it all happened.
5 years. Well, what do you think?
After speed then, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Bend it, just a little bit and take it easy. Show you're liking it, lover. You know that we're gonna hit the heights, cause I'm sure that we're making it together, just like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. What's the puzzle? Bend it, just a little more and take it easy. Show you're liking it, lover. You know that we're gonna hit the heights, cause I'm sure that we're making it together, just like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. What's the puzzle? Now you ready for this?
Okay, right.
After 3. 1, 2, 3. Da-dum, da-da-dum. Da 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 I can't do that. Go on, after you. Bend it, just a little bit and take it easy. Show you're liking it. Now you're on your own. Go on. Dun 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 da 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 dun 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 da 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 da.
Well, here on Night Time now, another new day is about to break over the New Forest as nature and wildlife awake to the keepers of the forest.
This is the heart of the New Forest, an area which is visited by thousands of people each year, an area which is farmed, and an area which is actually managed by the Forestry Commission. Now, a lot of people think the Forestry Commission are all about rows and rows of regimented conifers with little life in them, but in fact, there's a small group of Forestry Commission keepers that spend the best part of their time looking after the unique animals and plants which live here. Over 1,000 years ago, William the Conqueror designated the New Forest as his own private game park. Fallow have raised here for nearly 2,000 years, and with the help of the New Forest pony, give the forest its manicured appearance. The forest is a haven for wildlife, the greatest natural resort we have in southern England. When I went in search of badgers, it was with headkeeper Michael Clark.